Girls, the Buffalo Bills have defeated the Tennessee Titans. How about that? How about that? Beating a 3-1 team. Now, it may not sound like it, but it's a victory. Look at this guy. He's all set and ready to go.
Yeah. Hey, playoff baseball time, bro.
Oh, God. I'm done with you.
Come on now.
I want this thing to burn and perish in hell.
There you go. Look at it. You figured it out this time.
Yeah, well
What's up, everybody? So proud of you.
Victory.
So proud of you. So, hey, what's going on, everybody? Post-game show here from Niagara Falls, New York today.
I love the smell of a Bills win.
That's, yeah, or the smell, Niagara Falls. Take your choice. We want to thank you guys for stopping in with us. Obviously, different tone to a post-game show where the Bills win. That's just kind of what happens. It looks like, is it Momo asked for a shout out on the YouTube? What's going on? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you got it.
There it is. So, first off, Mario, you had mentioned it before we even started, before we started taping. Mario gets out of the car and he looks at me and he says, boy, you look at the stat line today, and this looks like a game you lost. And you're pretty close to right. From a stat line perspective, not a very impressive game, but you look at both stat lines, side by side, and you go, okay, I get how this game went the way that it went.
A lot of statistics that you saw in this game. At the finish of the game, it's like, okay, what is that? Is it in the first half still? Is it the first quarter? Are these the first quarter stats? So
scary, right?
It was scary, but I mean, this. If this is the, I don't want to say what we're going to see now with McDermott and Bean and the kind of culture and the kind of team that they want to win and the kind of way they want to win, it seems really counter to where the NFL is going.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, all right, you got to generate turnovers, you got to hold them to 3 points when you can, and then all of a sudden, what happens? You eke out a 13-12 victory.
Right.
So.
I mean, right out of the box, Below Zero asked, tell me everything. How do we win that? Well, and we've been saying this for weeks. You get the ball in your playmakers' hands. LaShawn McCoy and Chris Ivory touched the ball 40 times today. 40 times. And that's what this team is about. They're about getting the ball into McCoy's hands and getting the ball into Ivory's hands. Yeah, today they were. And it's about getting the ball in Ivory's hands to make second and short, third and short situations, right? It's about plotting the game out. When you get into an aerial attack, this is not a team that's really going to be, it's not a team that's going to be keeping up with an aerial attack. This is a team that wants to control the clock and wants to plod their way down the field. I mean, Josh Allen completed 10 passes today. 10.
You know what though?
And just let me just put into perspective quarterback rating, right? So quarterback rating, he was a 42 today. 42 quarterback rating. The punter that threw the ball to nobody had a 39.2. What is it, Borges? Is that how you pronounce his name?
No idea.
The punter we picked up from the Patriots, he threw the ball to the other team almost on purpose, and he had like a 39 quarterback rating. So that's what I mean. He was 0 for 1, and he had a 39. And Allen was 10 completions at a 42. So keep that number in perspective. Right?
Even with Allen, I mean, Below Zero coming out of the gate right away.
I know, right?
Is Allen becoming a liability?
I mean,
I could see that point when you look at the stat sheet immediately, but. It seems like what happened today, where the way that the game flowed and the way that the Bills were able to establish the run, they were able to play really tough defense. They were able to generate some turnovers. I saw the stat line during the game; it was just amazing. It said today, like at the point in the game, it said, turnovers. They scored 10 points off turnovers. The previous 4 games, they scored 10 points off turnovers.
Yeah.
And I had tweeted out in the past 14 quarters, the Bills have allowed 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The flip side of that is, in the last 10 quarters, you know how many touchdowns they've scored?
Yeah. One.
Cinco. They went 6 straight quarters without getting a touchdown or scoring at all.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously you factor in the Green Bay game, the second half of the Minnesota game and all that stuff, but it's really, I think this is one of those things where they weren't ready to start him yet. And this is what is the result of that. It's like, okay, he's going to have growing pain. He's going to have preseason games in the regular season right now,
Yeah.
as he's growing. So
yeah, and Bills fan 7883, Titan secondary is really good. Allen is easy to game plan for right now, which I think is probably pretty true, right? They're keeping things pretty simple for him.
Even though they didn't have Vaccaro today.
No, they didn't. But you could see the way that they're trying to get the reads for him simpler. They're having him roll on a lot of plays to kind of shut down half the field. They're really trying to do what they can to make it a little bit easier for him. And this is how those games are going to look. You're going to see this kind of this.
Well,
this is what you're going to see for right now.
That too, and they're compensating for the line. You got to think, because getting him out of the pocket and on the run. Listen, we're giving you half field reads. That's a lot of things that they do in college. That they give guys half field reads. That formula, I'm worried about going forward because you're going to have a backside backer that's going to be spying him, and it's going to, or something like that to that effect. But in the way that this game played out, Daboll had the word that kept echoing in my mind was safe. They had very safe play calls for Allen, to go. And your boy, by the way. Your boy, Zay Jones, finally was in the slot today.
I know. That's what I'm talking about. You get Zay Jones in the slot. 4 targets, 3 receptions, 20 yards actually showed up today. Kelvin Benjamin targeted 5 times, 1 reception for 11. There were times where Allen and Benjamin were not on the same page. There was a quick out that Allen threw 3 yards in front of Benjamin.
There were some throws.
They're not on the same page at all. And to tell you what that is at this point, I don't know. I will tell you that this is kind of what you see when you combine a young quarterback with a guy who had to earn the job through preseason. I mean, this was a 3-headed attack in preseason. Though guys were taking split reps with the ones all off season, so you're not going to see consistency and chemistry with that receiving group with Allen just yet, because this is something that they're months behind on that now. And I think I think you're still seeing a lot of that. When plays break down, the receivers still seem to be invested in making sure they get open. But you're just not seeing that chemistry right out of the box.
And it's not. It's one of those things where I think a majority of the things that we talk about today, I don't want to make it be like a Debbie Downer, but it's not going to get the field of a loss, but there's definitely a lot of things that this team has to improve on. I mean, the defensive side of the ball. I mean, if we can talk about them for a second. Marlowe coming off the practice squad. Now, listen, just 2 things real quick, and we'll talk about this during the week. I just wanted to bring up with you. We were worried about this front office because the first draft that came around, it was still Whaley's scouting department that did a lot of stuff that got Tre'Davious White and a lot of those guys. And then this draft was the first official one for Beane and McDermott and that staff and everything. But the thing was, you get Phillips, that monster in the middle now. That you just got him, and then you get Marlowe that comes up the practice squad. That goes to scouting and development.
Right.
So 2 guys that played very, very well and had an impact on this game today are two guys that were either scouted by this front office or developed within the practice squad.
Right.
So 2 positives that I love about that.
And there were 2 things that I want to bring up from the comment section. So again, thank you guys for tuning in with us through the post game. Tim Ellington had asked about the Bills potentially signing a veteran QB. That's Derek Anderson. This has been talk with us for months. We've been talking about this for months. Like, the Bills are going to bring in a veteran receiver. It's going to be Derek Anderson. Can we just get past it? Can we just sign him already? Come on. And here we are, weeks down the road, and it looks like it's going to be Derek Anderson. So that could spell the end for Nate Peterman. Interesting thing about Peterman, he still carries practice squad eligibility. So if the Bills were to cut him, he is subjected to waivers, right? Would they really worry about losing him? I mean, you're only carrying 2 quarterbacks. I don't really think too many teams are going to want to grab him off of waivers because they have to put him on their active roster if they did that. So likely he clears waivers. The Bills could still sign him to the practice squad. So if they do sign Derek Anderson, like it says, and the roster move coincides that they cut Peterman, which again, I mean, that's fine if it happens. They're committed to Allen at this point. I think Allen has shown enough that they know that they're in with Allen for the rest of the season. The last thing that I want to bring up was Below Zero had asked if there have been a lot of tip balls or if it's he talks about Andre Holmes missing the pick, the one that he went up for.
Well, that was a great play by.
It was a great play. The guy came up behind him. It was well timed.
Very unfortunate bounce. A couple of unfortunate bounces. Even though the Bills were able to generate 3 fumbles, get 2 of them, and then got an interception today and generate 3 turnovers. The one that where Hughes ended up sacking Mariota rolls out of bounds.
Which sack? The one that was or the one that wasn't? Because I'll tell you what, if Mariota had completed that pass, or it was called pass interference at the end in the end zone,
yes,
the stadium would have just simply exploded.
Yeah.
Like it would have been.
You know what? They would have went to the replay booth to see how much security they had. Though.
Yeah, right.
Like, can you get us out of here?
It would have looked like the McGregor-Khabib fight in the stands. Would have been. There he goes. It would have been terrible. But I think that brings up an interesting point. I think one thing that you're going to start seeing with defenses, and as they adjust to this quarterback hit rule, Hughes established control and kind of tossed him. And I think he just kind of expected Mariota just to give up and just kind of expect to be tossed. What you're going to start seeing is defenders are going to come in and they're going to start grabbing and throwing the quarterbacks. They're not going to tackle because they can't lay on top of them. So what you're going to see is kind of like a really, really terrible version of like throwing the, what's that, the hammer throw in the Olympics where they grab and they spin around in a circle and they launch. You're going to start seeing that from the defenders, but only it's going to be with real people. Yeah, it's going to be with real people because the defender's going to come in and they're just going to grab for shoulders and they're just going to spin and try and throw them because it's the only true way for them to avoid a penalty at this point. And I think, that was a product of that hit rule, unfortunately,
Yeah. I mean, okay, Bills fan, I live in Charlotte. Anderson did wonders to help a young Cam. If he is in shape and healthy, I think it's a no-brainer. I always champion the fact of bringing a veteran guy in, especially, and we don't just talk about the sideline, we talk about the film room, day-to-day, how to be a pro and stuff like that. A lot of these things that these rookies are learning are like first year for like all these guys. That's why, when you get to the sophomore, junior, technically the second, third year in the NFL, they're more adjusted to the schedule, how everything plays out, the longer schedule, because they're only used to playing 12, 13 games in college. Now they're playing 16, 17 weeks. So I like that. The only question that I have about that, and because I always like to stir the pot, is Anderson coming in because Daboll isn't communicating with Allen effectively? That he needs a middleman to do that?
I don't know necessarily if Anderson to Daboll has any connection at all. I think this is just about the coaches.
No, I'm talking about like translating the verbiage to the guy. Like maybe Daboll is a play caller and he could do play calling, but transferring that to actually putting that on the field, what it looks like, is Anderson that filter that helps Allen?
I think it just gives him another coach. Okay. Truthfully, I don't really think he even needed to sign Derek Anderson to the roster. I think this is something that he's so late in his career. He probably would have come in as an assistant QB coach.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
I think the interesting thing to me is that they're signing him to the roster because this is definitely something that could have just been a consultant deal where he'd come in and just be an assistant. I don't know why they're signing to the roster necessarily, but I think it's just there to have an extra set of eyes to walk through film.
Yeah.
Because Daboll probably needs to spend his time not only with the quarterback, right? He's going to need to start spending his time with that receivers group. He's going to need to start spending his time in the line room. So I think bringing Anderson in allows Daboll into different parts of his offense that he hasn't been able to focus on, and that is really critical because that line wasn't great today.
One sack
though. That's right. It was fun to watch the game today if you loved running football. If you loved teams that ran the football, today was a good day to watch.
I'm very old school in that respect, so I had a lot of fun today.
I didn't see, and you tell me what you think, Mario. I didn't see that much pre-snap motion. It seemed like they were committed to the run, and they said, you know what, we're going to let you know we're committed to the run today. You just have to try and stop us. Is that what you saw from the offensive game plan? It just didn't look like there was a lot of trickery. I know they tried the flea flicker and then Allen tried to throw it into double coverage to Benjamin going down the field. I don't know why you throw it to Benjamin on that
well,
play,
he may have been instructed because this happens quite a bit. If you come into the game plan and the Titans, let's say that their game plan was, hey, listen, we got to try to stop the run. We got to try to put 8 in the box. We got to try to do this. And the Bills come up on their opening play and launch it 50 yards. It doesn't matter if it's completed. I know that sounds very silly, but if it's not completed, that's almost sending a message to the other side and like, hey, listen, we're going to try to take some shots deep today. So you can't always crowd everybody in the box. So what did they do the next play? I think they ran it next play. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you want to try. It's almost like a little chess match that goes on with the game within the game, as you talk about. But the thing about it with the defense of the Titans, I don't know them to play. Vrabel's always, he's of that Belichick tree where they try to, they'll do twists and stunts, but they won't show that they're doing twists and stunts.
Right.
So there's very few pre-snap motion. The other thing could have been a lot of Allen's throws seemed one read and out or predetermined throws where he's just going to get it, throw it, get it out of your hands, get out of your hands. a point they could have picked up from the Green Bay game. It could have been one of those things where I got to get the ball out of my hands. Rodgers was getting the ball out of his hands really quick, and everything. So it could have been one of those things that manifested itself. Listen, let's give him nice, easy stuff that he has to do, and let's play to the kid's strengths. And then, like the one play action play after the Bills started running the ball pretty well, they had play action and hit Clay over the middle for his only catch. You see the linebackers in the line.
He sucked right in. Yeah, they were right in.
And that's his first read. That's his first read on that play, and he zinged it in there. It's almost like when we talk about Tremaine Edmonds on the defensive side of the ball. If he knows where the play is going, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, you saw him close on Mariota so fast.
But he got shot out of a cannon.
Yeah, he closes fast, man.
But the thing about it I'll give you the defensive guys that stood out to me today, but Allen knew if he ran that play action, his first read was Clay. It was Clay. He zinged it right to him. It was beautiful. And I think that's one of those things that's part of the maturation process where there was another play. The play that he threw that got picked up, we were talking about earlier, Clay was wide open over the middle. But we always said, hey, listen, Allen is still in that mindset. I'm only going to look right. I'm only going to look right. Well, if he would have taken an extra second, and Clay was wide open over the middle. I think a linebacker was running right behind him. But, he'll see that in the film room.
Sure.
And maybe they'll go over that in practice this week, especially maybe Anderson will tell him about that. He probably saw it on the film. But it's just one of those things, part of the maturation process. But the Titans defense is very, I'm going to line up. And you're not really going to find out too many things I'm going to do. And a lot of the play calling that Dable had today for him was very, very. I hate to use the word vanilla, but it was very. It was scaled back. It was football 101 stuff. Right?
Yeah, I'm with you on that, absolutely. And we've got a bunch of great comments in the chat. I actually had to tell everybody, like, guys, these are great comments. I just need you to hold on a minute.
Oh, we're gonna be here. Don't worry.
Yeah. Okay. Tim Ellington comes in. Flip side of the rule, how can a defender tackle Josh Allen without it becoming a personal foul? It's interesting that we saw Josh Allen hurdle a defender in Minnesota, Mariota hurdle a defender today. Are quarterbacks not afraid of getting contact anymore?
Just as the defense is getting coached how to tackle, and maybe the flip side where, listen, Allen's going to get a couple of LeBron James calls here because that hit on the sideline, he flopped. And he tried doing that in the other game, and it wasn't the call that he got, but it was one of those things where if you get labeled as that means the next hit that you take. Remember Cam Newton had a problem with that all the time? Like, listen, these guys are taking extra shots at me. I don't care that I'm 6'5", 250 pounds.
You got to do something about it. You still got to do something about it.
So it's one of those things. I hope Allen doesn't make a habit of that, number one. Number two, the call went away on Thursday night. Didn't Luck get pile driven by three guys, and then they're like, "Nah, we're not going to call that. Yeah, we're good."
Yeah, he only missed last year.
Whatever. With his shoulder.
Shoulder, not.
The guy's thrown 350 passes in 5 games so far. He's all right. We got a bullpen around here.
Yeah, I know, right?
All right, that's
okay,
the comments.
All right. So what was the next one? All
right. So.
There was a comment in the chat about how Dable's never played quarterback in the NFL, so he probably needs somebody to break the film down to Allen in that respect. Amazing point. You're absolutely right.
Who was that?
Bills fan.
Bills fan?
Yeah, Bills fan 7883.
Thank you,
that's a phenomenal point. You're absolutely right. And that's one thing that the Bills haven't had, right? Is somebody quarterback speak to Allen along the way. Well, they do have a quarterback coach who, understandably, has been in the league a long time. And that's the man on the sidelines running that offense since Dable's in the booth. The truth is that he's been a quarterback coach for McNabb, Alex Smith, so he was in Philadelphia, then he was in KC, now he's in Buffalo. The truth is that he was working with quarterbacks who already had systems basically established and already had careers essentially established. Those are his most recent projects as far as his involvement with the offense. He hasn't had a rookie quarterback be the starter, so that might have been a situation where he's like, listen, I need some help here. And again, it's Anderson working as a coach. The peculiar thing to me is that he's going to be on the roster, but you get what you get, I guess. I suppose.
Yeah.
The next comment that I wanted to get to was let's see here.
The penalty hurt? Is that where we're at now?
No, Dennis Chapman, the new DE from Miami, fit right in.
Love Phillips.
Yeah. Great.
Is a horse.
But that's the difference between a player like Phillips and a player like Jerry Hughes, right? Jerry Hughes is going to try and run around guys. Phillips simply doesn't care. He is just going to eat bodies.
So he's going to eat bodies.
He's going to eat bodies, and he's just going to push that pocket back. And I agree. I thought they kept the game plan relatively simple. He wasn't in all packages, so you saw him rotating in and out with Murphy, which is perfectly fine. But Love the signing of Phillips. I think that one 4 weeks from now, I think you're going to look back at that signing and say that one made a ton of sense.
Shaq showed up today too. Shaq did really well.
Yep.
Shaq did really well. Milano's still he's just a little fireball, that guy. I love watching Milano just fly around the ball, and he's a perfect complement to Edmonds in the middle. But then when you want to talk about guys, like if you want to talk about guys that made a defense, just real quick, guys that made an impact on the defense today. You talk about Jughead. Teron Johnson.
You guys, can I just break down real quick in case you missed that episode? The reason we call him Jughead is Teron Johnson is the guy, you might have seen the clip back at the scouting combine where he turned the wrong way when they shoot the footballs out of the jugs and it hit him right in the face. So that I call him Jughead because he was taking shots out of the jug machine. That's why I call him Jughead. So that's where that reference comes from. In case you missed that one episode in that 2-minute segment where we talked about it.
Did that.
That's just to bring you up to speed.
But no, the thing about it is you talk about Teron Johnson, you talk about Phillips, you talk about Edmonds, and you talk about Latule. Latule had a play today where he just bust the pocket, shoved the it was going the opposite way of him. He shoved the center into the back, into Henry. Henry ended up scooting out for another 10 yards, which baffled me about that. But he shoved the center into Henry because he couldn't get to Henry. You talk about guys like that. You talk about 4 or 5 names that made an impact. Marlowe coming off the practice squad. I mean, when I saw that Bush and Hyde were both going to be out, I'm like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah, I know.
What's going to happen now?
I know.
I thought Corey Davis could have field day, but Davis White really did a really good number on him.
They didn't even bother throwing it to Corey Davis when Trey White is out there. And I think that speaks volumes to the player that Trey White is seen as around the league because they didn't even bother. The only time that they really got Corey Davis any action was when they were in bunch formation and they were able to slide coverage out because they know the Bills are playing. You know, the Bills are typically playing 10 on 10. Yeah, and they a lot of times will try and play zone, even in bunch coverages. They'll bring guys over, they'll just basically play zone. So they were able to take care of that as they slid coverages and slid the receivers in and out from each other. They were able to get Corey Davis on Phillips, which is the matchup that they were looking for. I'm sorry, Phillip Gaines, excuse me. They tried to get the matchup on Phillip Gaines. They got it, it worked. So that happened, but it's just one of those things that, you know, you shut down their number 1 receiver for a majority of the game. They didn't even look his way.
He had like 4 for something, I think.
Yeah.
4 for 6.
No, I don't know. He didn't catch. I don't think he caught 4 passes. Did he catch 4 passes today?
I will check, sir.
All right. Yeah. You get on that. It's Omaha, the stat monkey over here.
4 for 49.
He was 4 for. All right.
You're welcome.
All right. Thank you.
No, the point I was trying to make was you got about 5 or 6 guys that made an impact today that you can directly connect to McDermott and Bean going out and getting these guys. You know, especially on the defensive side.
There's going to be one play that people might look at and say, what were the Bills doing? It was that one, it wasn't really a screen. The wide receiver ran a 1-yard stick route and it was on 3rd and short and Mariota hit, I don't even remember. I think it was Tawana. I think it was Taylor on the outside, out of the slot. Because Marlowe had to play back. The Bills will disguise coverage a lot, so even in 3rd and short, they're still looking to disguise coverage. So they had Marlowe playing way back. That was his man. They're playing man coverage there, but they're trying to hide the man coverage to make it look like they were a stronger front than they really were planning on. And that's not on Marlowe. That he was just a product of the scheme trying to hide what coverage that they were in. So if you hear anybody talking about that, that wasn't on Marlowe. It was perfectly fine. Mariota just saw it. It's any QB should have seen it. I would hope Josh Allen would see that at this point in his career because he's played football before in his life. I would hope that he would see it. Don't give me that look.
I would. Another important note that you may hear about or may not hear about because it's very, very subtle. The side that Hughes was on. You didn't hear a lot from Hughes until Taylor Lewan left the game.
Yeah.
That's a huge point of contention because they were missing guys on the defensive side. We knew about the guys missing on the defensive side. And then they got Conklin and Lewan as their bookends on the offensive side. You miss Lewan. That's a big piece, both in the running and the passing game. So the Bills were able to, once they knew that Lewan was out, they started coming off of that side. Which the sack that they missed where the fumble went out of bounds, we talked about. Teron Johnson was blitzing off that edge. Do you think they make that call with Lewan in there?
No way.
I don't think they do.
No. Lewan throws him like he's, like he weighs 30 pounds. There's just no way. Taylor Lewan is the best. Taylor Lewan's the best left tackle in this game. Like that's just.
I
best left tackle in football right now. And unfortunately for Tennessee, he got hurt. But again, that opened up things for Jerry Hughes and opened up that edge to edge blitzing, right? Because now you got a sub guy in, so you can open up more blitz packages than you've seen before. We're getting some questions back on the offensive line. Just kind of want to circle back to that point real fast. Again, the signing of Derek Anderson, I'm really telling you, is going to have an impact on the offensive line because it's going to allow the coaching staff to focus on that position a little bit more. Because Derek Anderson will be there to take Allen under his wing and kind of walk him through some of the looks. Obviously, he doesn't know scheme or system, so it's going to be a little guarded, the information that he's really going to be able to effectively relay to him. But from a game plan standpoint, he's going to say, listen, this is how these teams, the last 3 games, this is how they've handled their business. This is what we're going to watch. This is what we think is going to happen. Now let's see how our offensive game plan works into that. Anderson's unfortunately going to be ineffective from telling Allen how the play should be run for a couple weeks. However, you're going to see that offensive line be more effective moving forward because, again, you bring in a player like Anderson to allow your coaching staff to focus on a different area. And again, the Bills did a good job of hiding the issues on the offensive line today.
They did. The bootlegs, rollouts, they had effectively ran the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, McCoy 24. I didn't even think McCoy had 24 carries coming into this game.
I think McCoy rushed for more yardage today than he had all season. I think he had 87 yards coming into today.
I wouldn't doubt it. Wouldn't doubt it. I can't spell his name, but Latulele dominated the run in the middle today. It takes a while to get that name. I'm just gonna tell you right now. I had to spell it many times before I got it, but yes, he did. Okay, Bills fans 78-83. On defense and special teams, the young guys show up all over the field. On offense, not so much. Why? That is my question. If this team can just get average offense production, the word playoffs isn't taboo.
Well, let's just throw this out there. Josh Allen does not have a 2-2 record. The Bills' defense has given him that 2-2 record. I know, but Allen doesn't get the loss for the first game because he came in too late.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't. Okay. But so Allen's 2-2 record is, I suppose you could say that's on Allen, but we're not talking about the Bills, completely destroying anybody that they played with Allen under center. The defense gave them everything that they needed to be successful. That defense is 2-2 on Allen's record.
That's exactly Minnesota.
But that's it. The first turnover put the Bills in the opponent's territory to start the game. You can't beat that because with the way the kickoff rules are now, you're not going to see returns. You're not going to see guys getting down to the opponent's 40. It's not going to happen. It's either going to be a touchback or it's going to be a 10-yard return, a touchback, or a touchdown. It's going to be one of those 3. You're not going to see midfield possession based off the kickoff rule. It's just not going to happen.
And typically, what you say, it's try to give you the most concise thing that I could, from my experiences of playing the game and seeing the game and watching it, is that defense and special teams are the easiest ones to get up. I mean, they're the easiest ones to kind of get together and form, and because there's a lot of things that can happen on the defense, but those guys are, it's just about being an athlete and being in there and understanding. Your whole job is to disrupt whatever the offense is doing. The offense has to have chemistry. Everyone has to be. There could be some breakdowns in the defense, but you can still have a positive play. Let's say if Tre'Davious White, God forbid it happens, gets beat deep. Well, Hughes got the sack.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If that happens, where Kelvin Benjamin runs a perfect route, but Mills or Miller miss a block, then the play's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Okay, as far as that goes.
Yeah.
So the special teams right there. They're just maniacs that like to run down and tackle, and those are still guys that want to make the team, want to make the main roster as far as that goes. When you look at the defenses, this is the second year that they were able to come together, with the same coaching staff and everything. They have a lot of veteran leaders in place. When you think about the Buffalo Bills offense from last year, who was the offensive leader? It was McCoy, who was hurt for a game, and they haven't been using him, and Wood.
Yeah.
And then you don't have, you haven't had that this year. You haven't won one definitive leader on this offense.
Right.
Zay Jones is in his second year. Kelvin Benjamin is coming over for a second year. And you know what? It's really, you got a rookie quarterback. All that stuff, coming together. McCoy was dealing with all of this stuff off season. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where it hasn't really gelled yet because there's so many factors that go into making an offense work as opposed to making a defense work.
I want to get to a couple comments here. So first off, Dennis Chapman talks about not negating the defensive performance or game-winning kick, but Chris Ivory, in my opinion, was the difference maker today. You're not alone here. A lot of fans are really excited about the way Chris Ivory has played, but I want you to take into perspective one thing: his production is dependable, right? It's not this is not a guy who's going to be breaking off 80-yard runs. This is a guy who, in 4 yards in a trail of dust and destruction, is going to get you dependable yardage. So you have to ask yourself, in this offense, is that really what you want, right? McCoy, I love McCoy. He did not look fast today, right? He looks slow to me.
He looks elusive to me.
I don't know.
He's still getting
But again,
it
I
back.
think, unfortunately, last year, right, to this year, I think the fans are going to want to. They're going to want to trend towards what's consistent and what's dependable.
Mm-hmm.
Can Ivory average 4 yards a carry? If so, then he should be the starter, right? McCoy, of course, is always looking to break, always looking to go big. Don't get me wrong. Of course, he's an exciting player. However, I think fans are going to want to trend towards those, those dependable yardage situations that Chris Ivory is going to get.
Here's what I'm going to ask you, sir. You got this Yankee shirt on.
Yeah.
For those of you that have been with hashtag for many, many years, all 5 of them, I nicknamed this guy the closer because anytime there's a discussion, this guy always closes it out. The closer for the Yankees for years was...
Yeah, Mariano Rivera.
Okay, so my point is this. What was his best pitch?
Cutter.
Cutter. He had the cutter. What was his second best pitch?
Didn't matter.
My point, just give me a pitch, okay? Let me prove my point here.
No, he threw a two-seam.
He threw a two-seam fastball and he threw a cutter.
Yeah, pretty
the
much
cutter was his best pitch. The two-seam was effective because of the cutter.
Yeah,
it was only effective because of the cutter. That's what the change of pace back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have McCoy, he's scooting, he's dodging, he's kind of trying to go in and out. I thought he looked quick today, not fast. I thought he looked quick. And then you, like you said, you got Ivory to come in and just pound and get those tough yards that McCoy really, that's not in his skill set.
Well,
so they offset each other perfectly in this offense.
I think the Bills have put on tape often enough that Chris Ivory is your pass blocking back, right? So you can catch teams off guard when you have Ivory out of shotgun because they just assume that you're passing the ball. Ivory's in there and McCoy's not in there to pick up blitzes. Ivory does that better. So I think there's enough film out there for teams to feel like when they see Ivory, like the Bills feel like they can sneak in some runs on there. I really think that's something that as film gets added, I think you might see a little bit less of Chris Ivory. But right now, you're seeing the fact that the Bills can exploit matchups because they really feel like Ivory might be in there just for pass protection.
Well, that too. I mean, plus it opens up things. If you go into third and short, second and short, and you have Ivory in there, and you see Allen turns his back to the defense, you're going to see a lot of guys converge on that, so it opens up play action as well.
Yeah.
So that could help Allen in that respect as well.
Yeah.
Below zero. Am I saying Allen is?
No, nobody said Trent Dilfer.
What?
The words never came out of here. Never.
Stop this madness.
Yeah,
you mean if he wins a Super Bowl based on a defensive effort?
If he wins a Super Bowl, I don't care if he's only got one arm. Doesn't matter to me. Okay. If he wins, I don't care if he throws everything with his left hand. Call him whatever you want. I don't care. Just win the Super Bowl. That's fine. We are nowhere near that point right now. So we'll move on. There's a lot of times that teams will run plays just to show on film. You see the Patriots run a lot of really strange plays near the ends of games that they're clearly in the lead for, and that's just to put weird stuff on film. The Bills ran a flea flicker. Had they really intended for it to be a home run play, you're not running Benjamin on that.
No.
You're not running Benjamin on that. So that to me was just one of those things where let's just see how much attention they're really paying here, because Benjamin was the only one on that route.
Below.
What?
Look.
What?
Look. I was hoping I'd freaking stop it. Stop it right now. Touche, though. Touche.
James Parson. Actually, I don't think James has ever commented on anything.
No,
Thanks,
thank you, James.
for tuning in. Love that we grabbed the win, but our passing game's terrible. Is that on Allen or is that on the receivers? I think it's a combination of both. So, unfortunately, when you have a quarterback and you're talking about your elite quarterbacks like Ben Roethlisberger, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, those guys will be able to look at a defense and change routes for guys. The read routes are just different, right? So you can put more on wide receivers when you have a more elite level quarterback because the receivers, you can depend on their eyes more to fly in for where the coverage is, right? This wide receiver group, you're not doing that. You're not depending on Allen to wait for the receiver to make a decision on what route he's running. This is your route. You're running it through the mud. You're running it through the snow. You're running it through the sleet. Doesn't matter. This is your route. Build a trench. Stay in your trench. Don't do anything stupid. And that's where we are, right? And unfortunately, what that does is it makes the offense kind of predictable and kind of vanilla, and it takes a little bit of the creativity away. And I think it limits the explosiveness of the offense because a wide receiver can look and say, okay, I got a 10-yard dig route, or if the cornerback bites, I can go. Right?
Yeah.
And you're not seeing that because those plays aren't in the playbook because you don't have a quarterback who's going to be able to react to that at this point.
Chemistry hasn't been developed.
No, not at all.
And usually there are some of these top flight quarterbacks that come out of college, they've done that. Mm-hmm. Who's Allen done that with in college?
Yeah,
he's never even done that because he hasn't had the players to do that.
Yeah.
If there was ever a team that's more alike the college team that he's played on, he's running for his life. He has to get out. He has to try to make plays with his legs. Yep. He has receivers that can't catch the ball when he throws it. Mm-hmm. And he has to have a very, very basic game plan that goes like. And one telling sign to bolster your point, Paul, is the fact that if you think about it, Bodine was the center today, not Groy.
Right.
So Bodine has started over 60 games in this league as a center, making line calls. So that just tells you right now how much they're trying to take off of Allen's play. Yeah. He's not even making protection calls for himself. He's having the line do it for him.
Yeah.
If he makes a protection call and it's not in line with what Allen thinks it is, that's where you're seeing some of these sacks.
Yeah.
If some of these routes that they're doing, what do they have to do? It's like a catch-22. Well, we have to max protect. And we can only have a 2 wide receiver route. Well, those 2 wide receivers aren't getting open. Yeah. Okay, fine. We'll put more guys in the route, and then
but then you lose protection.
Then you lose protection. So.
Right. Yeah, it's unfortunate,
but
it's all right. Don't worry about it. So we're actually near the 40-minute mark. So everybody for sticking around. We do have some more comments that we want to get to before we wrap up and we go tape for the rest of the week. That's what we're doing. We're going to go tape for the rest of the week. So whatever comments that we don't get to, we might work them into the episodes this week. So if you have anything, go ahead and hit us up on Twitter, on Facebook, through the comment section here. We check them all while we're recording. So if there's anything that pops up that you want to know about, just ask me. We'll cut a video about it this week. Literally anything is on the table. There's one from last week. I gotta go back and look at it. I don't remember who it was from, but I will find it. I do want to point out again a couple things. Few people here are talking about the velocity that Allen throws a ball. It's been kind of a recurring theme through the chats today. I absolutely understand. We talked about this a little bit on the post game last week or the week before that. To make a baseball reference real fast, a lot of times you get pitchers that throw 97 miles an hour and they don't have a changeup, right? And it takes a while to learn that and develop that. Allen has a tendency that when he gets in trouble, he throws the ball a million miles an hour. The problem that we're seeing is that with this line, he has often been in trouble. So that's what you're getting, is he's throwing the fastball because it's that knee-jerk reaction. It's at this point just conditioning him that I gotta get it, I gotta go. He's also with velocity like that, I'm sure he's used to fitting the ball into tighter windows than other quarterbacks have the ability to put them in, right? Now, removing all concerns about his accuracy, just simply talking about the window that he can throw a ball in, he has a bigger window to throw in because the velocity's there, right? It's just the facts. Is it the receivers can't handle velocity? You know what? They're professionals. That's it.
With ridiculous gloves.
Yeah, oh my God, the gloves that these guys have are ridiculous. If you guys have never played with them, it's unbelievable. The ball stops spinning in your hands. These gloves, it's not that they make the catch for them. One of the things with an NFL football is that the ball, before gloves, you feel the ball spin in your hands as you were catching. It was all about hand strength. No, it doesn't matter. You can slap these gloves on a 12-year-old. The ball's gonna stop.
I think Below Zero just had an Indiana Jones reference.
Really? You love those. Anything that happened in like
the
80s, 90s.
Who's the kid's name?
Man, all I could think of is he was
Shorty, Short Round.
Yeah.
Short Round?
That might be right.
Dr. Jones.
Stop it.
I think that's a perfect time.
It's absolutely true. But the truth is that Allen, it's part of the game plan, right? And these are all things that have to be worked and practiced in. And unfortunately, that's just the way that it is, right? These are all things that have to develop with chemistry and consistency through practice. So is this wide receiver group the one that you see next year? Oh, dear Lord, I hope not. But these are all things that, you just have to take into account. If the Bills can get to a decent place with this offense, I think you're going to start seeing changes in the way the offensive line plays and the wide receiver play should open up more. Again, it's easy for these defenses when they know that these guys can't adjust routes. They can just throw whatever coverage out there, and odds are they're going to cover up enough. So it is really tough for a rookie quarterback to make an impact because of just the way that it is in the offense and you know, in the NFL now. So that's the way it is. So yeah, are we going to sign any wide receivers this year? We talked about that last week, actually.
Yeah, we went over the free agent wide receiver graveyard last week. If you'd like to check out that video,
it's terrible. You don't want to sign any of these.
We had a major league reference in there too. Which is great. If you want to check out the video, it's
then cross him off.
Cross him off. But we had a couple of videos last week. We're going to try to give you guys. We also do some fantasy football stuff on the side. So if you guys want to check that out, we always have like 1 or 2 videos of that.
Yeah.
But you know, once again, to all of you that commented, watched, decided to take a little bit of your post game to join us, we really do appreciate it. And
the low battery light only impacts us. They don't see it. You know that,
but
right?
I just see my finger going up.
Yeah.
But like I said, thank you for joining us. Be sure to comment, like, subscribe, tell your friends. We have a ball answering all your questions throughout the week. So we're gonna go record, and you guys have a great night.
Yeah. Again, anything you need, put in the comments section of the video down below, or any comments. Doesn't matter. We get notifications on all of them. Hit us up on Twitter at #Sports. Hit us up on Facebook #Sports. Anything you guys want, we're gonna go record, and we'll talk to you next week. Thanks again. Go Bills, and we'll see you soon. Later, guys. Have a good night.
Can I go now? Can I do it now?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, hit the button now. Good night, guys.